How's it going, everybody? It's my turn to moan and complain about Overpowered. Here we go, the blog that was released yesterday. The next step for Overpowered PvE. Overpowered PvE, the next step of Overpowered rollout is underway with the introduction of Overpowered in PvE content. Our goal remains clear, to make sure your character progression upgrades pay off even more in PvE battles, continue to advance your character's ISO levels, and gear will help you experience this power for yourselves, and will also help tip the scales against Annihilus. We have seen much of the feedback from the community on Overpowered and have completely ignored it. Oops, I'm sorry, I blacked out for a second. And we'll continue to monitor the data to see if any changes need to be made. This is a flat-out lie. This is a lie. At this point, because they have not even suggested that they will tone down Overpowered at all, this is just a lie. There is no more changes being made. It's staying. It's not going away. People are building characters right now because of Overpowered. People are leveling characters they never would have before. It's not going away. If it did, they'd have just as much anger now from the dolphins and the whales who are trying to play catch up on Overpowered, or just the super engaged people, that they would have even more issues. It's been too long. It's not going away. I don't even think they'll tone it down. I don't think 50% is going anywhere. Which, this was such an unforced error. Well, let's read on. We'll read on. Because it gets really stupid here. It gets really stupid. The system will work the same way as we outlined in our Overpowered blog, so expect the same visual appearance and combat bonuses. Here's how Overpowered will arrive and make an impact in PvE modes. Really? The Thunderbolts Showcase and Blitz. What? The Thundercase, Showcase, and Blitz will be the first opportunities to experience PvE Overpowered in action? I'm sorry. Are you stupid? Nobody cares about Showcase or Blitz. Should we go look at the Showcase real quick? Okay. Sorry. Scotty cares about Blitz because he is my special unicorn, and I will always love and cherish Scotty. But nobody else cares about Blitz.
Right in my heart.
Nobody else cares about Blitz, okay? Blitz is literally a place where most people go, sim 6 fights, maybe 7 if there is a quick rumble, and then we go about our business. Should we take a quick look at what Showcases is like? What's Showcase content like? All right, well, if we go to chapter 1 and I were to go in here, well, let's just see. Well, this is not my team. This is literally not my team, so it doesn't matter. Okay, so are you going to use Showcases to give me a prescribed team for the nodes that's now going to give me a skewed perception of their performance because you are implying Overpowered on those nodes? Okay, whatever. That's stupid. Fine, let's go see one of these nodes. I have not upgraded him to 4 because we're not doing that yet. Oh, we have gear tier 17 enemies. Surely they get stronger when we get to like a 7-star Daredevil, right? Alright, some gear tier 19. At 500,000 power? Do you know what a Shadow King at 7 red stars with Crimson gear is like? He's at 1 million power. So no, your PvE Showcase is not a thing. That's just not true. And then Blitz, besides Scotty, nobody's playing Blitz like a game mode, okay? Nobody. So the Thunderbolt Showcase and Blitz will be the first opportunity to experience PvE Overpowered in action. Sure. Initially, only Tier 1 Overpowered bonus will be active, with higher tiers coming later. We'll keep you updated on exactly when new tiers will unlock in our blogs. There's just so many missed opportunities to make people not hate this as much as they do. Like, for PvE content. Can they not do like a culmination of Overpowered? Like, if I have 5 Overpowered levels total on my entire team, higher than an Overpowered rating you give to, say, a raid node, make it a 100% sim chance. There's a lot of people that fail those tech sims, even with gear tier 20 characters. Why not do that? Why can't we think outside the box one time? Why? I just don't understand it. You make a brand new system and you can't think outside the box even for a second. All right, let's keep going. To keep battles fair and fun, Blitz enemy overpower will never exceed a player's obtainable rank. I'm sorry. To keep battles fair, we will not put overpowered on your enemies. Are you guys seeing this shit? Are you actually seeing this shit? Literally, to keep battles fair and fun, Blitz enemy overpower will never exceed a player obtainable rank. So yes, you can have some gear tier 21 enemies, but they're not going to be higher ranked than you. They're not going to be overpowered 12. So, by their own acknowledgement, if this wasn't the case, what, would the game be imbalanced and garbage? No way. Really? Oh, interesting. Interesting little tidbit you added there, in my opinion. And honestly, I would want there to be an overpowered disadvantage in Blitz, because at least then I can go to Blitz, and if I see an interesting team that would overpower one of my options, I can do some sort of pseudo test, right? Even that, it's not a real thing. After the Thunderbolt showcase, all future showcases will feature the overpowered system, giving you plenty of chances to see your overpowered roster shine. Looking ahead, overpowered and new PvE content. In the future, more new PvE content will include Overpowered. Game modes and events that are already active like Spotlight and Chaotic Storm Raids, Dark Dimension, and campaigns will remain unchanged. So all of our current content's not going to have Overpowered in it, which I think is kind of interesting that they're not going to be at least adding an Overpowered element to Chaotic Storm Raids. That is a brand new raid. The fact that they're not doing it there is kind of weird. Our team will continue to monitor the community's feedback and Overpowered's performance to ensure we're hitting our stated goals of ensuring all of your hard work is reflected in battles. Again, that's a lie. Me and Scott are going to talk about this in a second. Overpowered for PvE game modes will arrive on April 28th at 2 p.m. Continue powering up your roster to ensure your roster enjoys the full benefits of Overpowered. Also, this statement right here also gives it away. Continue powering them up to enjoy Overpowered, because we ain't changing shit, is what it should have said. Scotty, what are your thoughts on Overpowered? What's your experience with Overpowered so far? And speak to me from a Alliance War Captain perspective on the issue as well.
I mean, it was an adjustment. Mm-hmm. I think, I guess I have found over time, people have gotten more and more used to doing millions and millions worth punch-ups on things. Mm-hmm. Which was not the case how it was a while ago. Maybe back more in the Darkhold Gamma days. Mm-hmm. And I don't think Overpowered has made it impossible. You just have to, like, the visualization, like, they've done really well at showing Overpower, so it's easy to see your team versus their team. And you do have to be smarter on, you know, if you're going against Spider Society and they have a 10 Noir, don't take a 9 Sinister 6 into it.
In security.
Like, that's not going to go well, especially in security. Yeah. But, like, even not in security, if you have a 10 Noir going against a 9 Sinister 6, you're probably still going to lose, in my opinion.
Yeah, I would say so. But would you also probably mention that you are a more engaged, more meticulous player than most?
I am, but like as you saw when you were watching my War Attacks last night, you were making fun of my teams not having all the overpower because there's certain teams, one where I don't feel like it makes a huge difference, and like Mighty Avengers, you made fun of them. But like that's not a team that we're using in a situation where overpower comes into play anymore, in my opinion. But like certain teams, like if I'm using Out of Time, my Black Knight is definitely going to be a 10. I don't worry as much about my other ones being 10s. But I know he needs to be big enough to take hits, so I factor that in. Like, I'm building my teams around it, but, like, I don't have unlimited resources. Like, I'm out of training mats like everybody. I think I would be more pissed off if it was related to stars and diamonds and stuff like that. But, like, leveling certain characters up, like, that would have been my plan anyway. I'm just, I guess, leaning into it a little bit more in certain areas where I know Overpowered shines more.
Right. I'm not sure if that was the intended path they wanted people to take with Overpowered, though. Because what they said is it is to help your rosters and your current investments shine. And it didn't help your current investment shines. It helped other people's investments shine over your strategic building. Because to your point, you have to now build your characters according to Overpowered, which is a strategical change. And I guess in a strategical game, that's going to happen sometimes. Yep. But let me run by you something that would have been infinitely more palatable and have the exact same effect. Why didn't they just add an extra 25% to your tier 20? Why make this convoluted system?
Well, I don't think it's that convoluted.
No, but it is. Because essentially what they've done is they've opened a world where someone's past defensive investments are getting multiple gear tiers advantage on your past built investments. As opposed to gear tier 20 is going to give 50% damage and health now. That doesn't change the interactions my gear tier 18 characters have with the gear tier 19 character. They retroactively punished people for strategically building the counters. Now, I understand what you were saying earlier. I understand that it wasn't always the case where we were doing millions and millions of punch-ups. But it's the world, it's the meta that they created. And when they introduced Overpower, they dumped on that meta. And that is going to be extremely frustrating. I think to a lot of players, and to myself included, like you, I'm in depth in this game, right? I have the knowledge to circumvent a lot of the Overpowered. I also have a lot of resources as a legacy account to just benefit from the Overpowered. I'll also say it doesn't feel good to benefit from Overpowered. It's funny sometimes when I'm like, oh, that entire team just died to a Tiger ult, right? It's like, it's funny sometimes. But I don't feel like, oh, I made a strategical good move there. So that's my biggest issue with Overpowered is it didn't make me feel good about, and I can see this from other people's perspective for sure. It didn't make me feel good about my current investments. It made a lot of people feel bad about their current investments, actually, because against other people, they retroactively got nerfed. If all of the benefits that they wanted to impose on the game happen through future progression paths, then there wouldn't be a problem. Because we had this with Gear Tier 14 back in the day. The jump between Gear Tier 13 and Gear Tier 14 was insanely massive, including on the focus and resist front, which was insane. If they came out and said, hey guys, Professor X, he's a big deal, he's coming with some big bonuses, Gear Tier 20 is going to be twice as impactful as the other things, people would have been like, oh shit, that's crazy, and I'm going to get wrecked by Krakens, that's garbage. But also, there would have to be an acknowledgement that, okay, well, these Krakens they're straight up buying that. They're not retroactively getting that advantage on my entire roster from their entire roster. So there's that acknowledgement there. But there's also, when I'm facing other people, my team that used to work is not now reflexively losing because of Overpowered. I don't know. Does that make sense where I just came from? Like, why should my Gear Tier 17 team feel different into a Gear Tier 18 team? That doesn't help my investment. It makes me feel bad. Does that make sense to you?
It does. Like, I guess for me, like, I think this is more they're planning for the future, and instead of just putting it all into Gear Tier 20, I think they want another way to like visualize it. And it may be just the fact that I like math and numbers, and I like that, like, if I see a character at Overpower 8, I can like click on it and like it'll tell me how to make them Overpower 10, and that's like a roadmap for me to follow, which I like. I don't know.
Kind of, but we also have character power numbers.
Yeah, I
right?
don't. I guess I don't. I don't trust the power numbers as much because I have found, I guess in my mind, that's harder for me to analyze versus Overpower. Overpower, I can match it better in my head. At least it works better in my head.
Right, and so the thing about Overpowered, and it wouldn't just be Gear Tier 20 I'm talking about, it would be like every progression path going forward would be more impactful. Because what they have found is basically that a 25% stat jump for a new progression path is not enough to counteract a lot of the insane kits that we currently have. So all they've done, there's no strategy behind Overpowered. It's a blunt damage number. And so if it's just a blunt damage number making that big a difference, it could easily just be a blunt damage number attached to the level cap increases, the gear tier, the ISO 8. Instead of giving 2% per, it could have gave 10% per. Whatever they need to do. I think this is the worst way they could have done it. And this, I can't believe they're like, okay, we're going to soften the blow of Overpowered by making Overpowered now help people in Blitz. They'll never get Overpowered in Blitz, but they can overpower the enemy in Blitz. And in showcases where the enemies are all getting one shot. This is so tone deaf. My response to them when they sent this to us, and they're like, okay, this is going to be a blog, which is normally like, okay, cool, thanks for the blog. Let's go cover this and see what's going on. My response was like, you should probably not do this. You should probably not do this because all it's going to show is you're still tiptoeing around PvP. I didn't get any response. If I did, I wouldn't tell you what the response was. Do it anyway. But there is no tiptoeing around. After actually reading the blog, there's no tiptoeing around this. This just isn't true. And this gives the bag away. If they're still promoting people to build up your rosters to benefit from Overpowered, this is them saying Overpowered is not going anywhere. Because for every character a player levels up, it's that much harder for them to change it.
Oh yeah, they're not going back on it at this point.
Yeah.
There's no way.
No.
I guess for PvE, I was curious because you know how the only way they've been able to really make PvE harder is with like fake stats that you can't see or preloaded turn meter. I just wonder if maybe Overpower may make it more straightforward that we can actually see what we're going up against instead of like the hacks, the lazy hacks.
But once again, Overpowered is just a raw damage number. So what that'll do, I don't know, Striker PvE characters will kill you faster, I guess. If you let them take a turn, it's going to increase the speed meta. So like, okay, the enemy has Overpowered. If I can't get ahead of them and control them, I'm going to lose. So to me, it's just kind of, it's going to make teams even more prescribed for certain content, which I don't hate. Like for the Pocket Dimension, if they came out and said, you need the Vigilante team, raid buffs are going to be active, we want you to play this new raid team against these crazy enemies, and you'll learn the kits, and it's going to be... Like, if they said that, instead of just putting it and not saying anything, or for the Professor X saga, if they came out and said, okay, guys, every team from Vigilante on is going to have all of their mode buffs active in the Professor X saga. Nobody would be like, fuck you, blah, 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 blah. It would be like, oh, okay, so like these are the teams we should be using. So Thunderbolts, if they have their raid buffs active in the Professor X saga, well, I could use them instead of Liberty. No one would be mad about it, in my opinion. Everyone would just be like, okay, this is the saga teams get the buffs. Communication, jumping the gun and not thinking about the ramifications or possibly thinking about it not caring, I think is the number one driving factor for rage in the community. And yeah, I don't think Overpowered is like elegant. I don't think it's creative. It's like giving the enemy team a bat to use against you in PvE, right? That's how I see it. So what's the plan then for the next mutant raid tier? Is the plan that the enemies will be geared to 21 and they'll have Overpowered on you, and they're just going to put a character that, I don't know, Professor X will be in place, so it's not going to be a speed bar team. It could be a speed stat team. So what, they could throw their own Professor X at you with like Night Stalkers, and then all of a sudden the Blade has gear tier 21 and you don't. So he one-shots your Nightcrawler, your Old Man Logan before you get to do anything. Like, is that their way of phasing out teams in the future with Overpowered? As opposed to like putting a North Star on the node? I don't know why they just didn't do that. I don't know. I will end it here. I got pretty ranty here. Listen, I know there's going to be some spenders that are going to watch this, and they might get rubbed the wrong way, because a couple of them like Overpowered. I don't know if it's all of them. And a couple of them might think I'm just whining about being at a disadvantage. I'm not. At all. I don't care if the biggest spender is given a monumental advantage on me, and it's like David versus Goliath. That's good content. That's good content, and it's kind of fun. I just think that this was the laziest, stupidest way to do it. I think that giving the biggest spenders the bigger advantage should have just been built into new progression paths. Or, crazy thought, why don't you introduce a new, fun, creative progression path and you sell it? It's the same shit. Anyway, I'm gonna end the video here. Scott, do you want to say anything before we head out?
No, I mean, I obviously wish it wasn't here, but it's here, and I don't think it's going anywhere. So I guess I'm just trying to get used to it.
I mean, yeah. Am I quitting the game? No, I mean, yeah, it's built in now. It's part of the game now. It's not going away. We'll get used to it. When we start looking at counters, we're gonna now have to have like a beware overpowered on this character in this situation. So it adds some sort of strategy in that case. I guess I don't want to call it that because that feels yucky. It adds some more qualifiers to matches that we're gonna have to map out for people and stuff. But it's not going away. It is what it is. All right, guys. If you like this video, you're awkward, bud. All right. Leave a like on the video anyway. Subscribe to the channel. Have yourselves a wonderful day. We're going to be doing the very, very hard Pocket Dimension tonight with my 3 red star new Vigilante characters and my 3 diamond rework characters. We're going to see if we can bust through it with that. They're all level 105. Sable and Punisher gear tier 20, but I'm not going to gear tier 20 Hitmonkey until after the event. And we'll see if it's possible for, players that core or for Dolphins. We'll see if it's possible because there is a leaderboard attached to that event. Want to say bye, Scotty?
Bye. Blitz is the best.